Disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. I always thought I knew everything about my husband. We had been married for 4 years, long enough to settle into a routine, yet short enough to still learn new things about each other. Or at least that's what I believed, until something unexpected happened that completely changed how I saw him. I thought I had seen every side of him, the responsible one, the calm one, the loving one. But never had I seen this passionate side. It was intense, surprising, almost like he was a different man hiding in plain sight all along. It all started one quiet evening. I was scrolling through my phone on the couch while he was in the kitchen, casually humming to himself. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just another regular night. But then I noticed something odd. His phone lit up, and a message flashed across the screen. I didn't mean to look, but it was impossible to ignore. The name on the message wasn't familiar, and what it said gave me chills. It wasn't what you'd expect, not romantic, not suspicious. But it hinted at something deeper. A secret he had been keeping. A side of him he had hidden from me, maybe even from himself. That message became the thread I started pulling, and what unraveled left me questioning everything I thought I knew about our relationship. Was he really the man I married, or had he just been showing me a version he thought I wanted to see? And if he had kept this side of himself locked away, what else was he hiding? From that night on, our marriage began to change in ways I couldn't have imagined. He started acting differently, more confident, more assertive, more alive. And part of me liked it. A lot. But another part of me was scared. What had awakened this version of him? And why now? There's a fine line between love and mystery, and I found myself caught right in the middle. His touch felt different. His words carried weight. He was no longer just the sweet, predictable man I had grown comfortable with. He had become someone I couldn't fully read, and that's what made it thrilling and terrifying. But here's the question I can't stop asking. Is passion something you discover over time in your partner, or is it something they choose to reveal only when the time is right? And when they finally do, are you ready to face it? Comment below. Have you ever seen a new side of someone you thought you knew completely? Was it exciting or unsettling? Vote in the poll. Is it better to know everything about your partner, or is a little mystery healthy in a relationship? Don't miss the next part of the story, Master. What I found next made my heart race, because it wasn't just about my husband's passionate side. It was about the secret behind it. And trust me, it changes everything. I couldn't sleep that night. My husband lay beside me, breathing peacefully, completely unaware of the storm inside me. That message kept replaying in my head. It wasn't flirty or inappropriate. It simply read, "It's time. Are you ready?" And it was signed with just an initial R. No emoji, no explanation. Just those few words that felt way too loaded for comfort. The next morning, I acted normal. Made tea, packed his lunch, kissed him goodbye like always. But my mind was racing. What was he getting ready for? And who was R? I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but something deep inside me said this wasn't random. It was intentional. Planned. And it wasn't the first time they'd spoken. I just hadn't noticed until now. We met when we were both 24. He was working in finance, quiet and disciplined. I was a freelance designer, all over the place. Opposites in every way. But somehow, it clicked. He made me feel safe. Solid. Like no matter how crazy the world got, he'd be the one constant I could count on. But maybe that's why this was hitting so hard. Because now, I wasn't sure what was real anymore. Later that day, I searched for clues. I knew it was a breach of trust, but my curiosity had turned into something else, almost like fear. I went through his drawer, opened his laptop, checked his calendar. And that's when I saw it. A folder labeled Legacy. My heart stopped. It was hidden under layers of documents, almost like he didn't want anyone to find it. When I clicked it open, I found scans of old letters, property papers, and something that looked like a journal. But nothing about it made sense. It wasn't related to his work. And some of the names mentioned weren't familiar at all. One entry stood out. It was dated 2 months ago. It read, "She still doesn't know. But soon, everything will change. I have to protect her from the truth, even if it breaks us." Protect me from what? And why would the truth break us? For the first time in our marriage, I felt like I was married to a stranger. This wasn't about another woman. It was bigger than that. He was living 2 lives, and I was only part of one of them. That night, I tried to bring it up casually. Asked him how his day was, if anything interesting happened at work. He looked at me with that same calm smile and said, "Nothing new." And for a second, I believed him. But then I remembered that journal entry, and that message. I knew he was lying. But the way he looked at me, it was like he believed the lie himself. Now I'm stuck between 2 versions of the man I love. One I've built a life with. The other, a complete mystery. Master, what would you do if the person closest to you turned out to be someone you never truly knew? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Ever found something unexpected in your partner's phone or life that made you question everything? The truth is getting closer, and so is the moment everything shatters. The days that followed felt strange, like I was walking through a dream I couldn't wake up from. My husband kept acting like everything was normal, laughing during dinner, watching TV with me, even planning our weekend like he always did. But now, every word he said felt rehearsed. Every smile looked just a little too perfect. And every time his phone buzzed, my heart jumped. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was going on right under my nose. I wanted to confront him, to ask him directly about the message, the journal, the folder named Legacy. But something held me back. Maybe it was fear of hearing something I wasn't ready for. Or maybe, deep down, I didn't want to believe that the man I loved had a secret life. Still, I kept watching. Observing. Trying to find more pieces of the puzzle. One afternoon, while he was at work, I decided to visit his office building. I told myself I just wanted to surprise him with lunch. But truthfully, I wanted to see if there was anything different about how he behaved at work. When I reached the front desk, the receptionist smiled and said, "Oh, you must be here for the seminar. He's already upstairs." "Seminar?" I asked, confused. She nodded. "Yes, the private leadership group meeting he hosts every other week. Room 407. Leadership group?" He had never once mentioned that to me. I thanked her and walked to the elevator, my thoughts spinning. Why would he keep something like that a secret? It didn't sound bad on the surface, but with everything else going on, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just a typical work activity. I reached room 407, but the door was shut and there was no sound inside. A gold plaque on the door simply read, "Legacy Circle." My breath caught in my throat. That same word again, legacy. What was this group really about? I stepped back and left without knocking. Something told me I wasn't supposed to be there. When I got home, I dug deeper. I searched online for anything about the Legacy Circle, but nothing came up. No social media, no website. It was like it didn't exist, at least not publicly. That night, he came home a little late. I asked him how the day went, and he replied without hesitation, "Just the usual." Another lie. And this one felt colder than the rest. That's when it hit me, he wasn't just hiding something. He was protecting something. Maybe even a group of people. And I wasn't part of it. Now I'm torn between exposing the truth and holding on to the life we've built. But every day, the line between love and secrets gets blurrier. Master, what would you do in my place? Would you dig deeper or confront him directly? Comment your guesses. What do you think Legacy Circle really is? Why is he keeping it hidden? The deeper I go, the more dangerous the truth feels. And yet, I can't stop. Because whatever he's hiding, it's about to surface. The next few days were unbearable. Every time my husband left for work, I wondered if he was really going to the office or somewhere else entirely. He had become an expert at hiding whatever this Legacy Circle was, and I had become obsessed with finding out the truth. My mind raced constantly, filled with scenarios I couldn't control. Was he involved in something illegal? Was he protecting someone? Or worse, was he protecting me from something I didn't even know existed? I didn't want to believe the worst, but nothing made sense anymore. Even the way he looked at me had changed. Not distant, but guarded. Like he was weighing every word before saying it. And when I'd ask casual questions, he'd smile and redirect. It was subtle, but it was there. I felt like I was living with a man wearing a mask, and the real version of him was somewhere I couldn't reach. Late one night, after he had gone to bed, I went back to the journal I had found on his laptop. I hadn't read all of it, just a few entries. But this time, I went deeper. One particular page caught my eye. It was written only 2 weeks ago and said, "The moment is close. She'll either understand, or everything will fall apart." I wish I had more time. What was this moment he was waiting for? And why did it feel like a countdown? That entry haunted me. The next morning, I decided I couldn't take it anymore. I followed him. I waited until he left the apartment, then grabbed my coat and called a cab. I told the driver to stay far behind his car but not lose track. My hands were shaking the entire time. My heart felt like it was beating louder than the engine. He didn't drive to his office. Instead, he took a long, winding route through quiet roads and finally pulled into an old private estate on the outskirts of town. A large iron gate opened automatically, and he disappeared inside. The cab driver glanced at me through the mirror, probably sensing something was wrong. I stepped out and walked closer to the gate, staying hidden behind some trees. From a distance, I saw a few other cars parked there. People were going inside, dressed formally, like it was some exclusive gathering. I couldn't see much beyond that, but then I caught a glimpse of a symbol carved into the stone wall near the entrance. The same symbol I had seen faintly watermarked on the journal pages. This wasn't just a secret group. It was something ancient. Organized. Carefully protected. I froze in place as I watched my husband greet a man in a black coat. They shook hands like they'd known each other forever. Then my husband handed him a box, small, wooden, and locked. Whatever was inside that box, I knew it mattered. Deeply. Master, what do you think is in that box? Why has he kept it hidden all this time? Share your theories in the comments. Something is about to be revealed, and when it is, nothing will ever be the same again. I stood frozen behind the trees, watching my husband hand over that small wooden box like it carried the weight of the world. My mind was racing with questions I couldn't answer. What was in that box? Who were those people? And why was he, the man I trusted with my life, deeply involved in something that felt so secretive, so rehearsed, like a scene from a movie I never asked to be in? Just as I was about to leave, thinking I had seen enough, something else happened, something I wasn't prepared for. A woman stepped out from the main door of the estate, and my heart nearly stopped. Not because I recognized her, but because of how my husband looked at her. He smiled, not the casual smile he gave strangers, but one filled with familiarity and warmth. She touched his arm gently, and for a split second, I saw something in his eyes, hesitation. Guilt. Or maybe fear. They spoke briefly, too far for me to hear. But then she handed him something, an envelope. He tucked it inside his coat without opening it. And just like that, he turned back toward the building and disappeared inside, leaving her alone at the gate. I didn't move. I just stared at her. She looked calm, composed. Maybe in her early 30s. But what struck me was how confident she seemed, like she had every right to be there. Was she part of Legacy Circle too? Or was she the one pulling the strings behind the scenes? I followed her at a distance when she started walking down the road toward her car. I knew it was reckless, but I couldn't stop myself. When she got in and started the engine, I memorized the license plate. Later that night, I looked it up through a private search platform. What I found changed everything. She wasn't a stranger. She used to be my husband's therapist years ago, before we even met. And according to her public profile, she now ran a foundation focused on awakening hidden human potential through legacy building work. I felt a chill run down my spine. This wasn't just a secret society or a casual group. It was something psychological. Deep. Maybe even dangerous. I started to piece things together. What if this wasn't about betrayal, but about identity? What if the version of my husband I knew was never the full picture, and this group, this woman, helped him unlock something he had buried for years? But why now? And why keep me in the dark? Master, if you found out your partner had a secret past connected to something this intense, would you confront them? Or would you keep digging, even if it meant discovering things you weren't ready for? Drop your answers in the comments. And tell me, do you think this woman is helping my husband, or controlling him? Because the more I uncover, the more it feels like I've been living in someone else's carefully planned story. And I'm only now realizing I was never supposed to read the next chapter. The next evening, I decided it was time. I couldn't keep living with this weight on my chest. I had to confront him, not with anger, but with honesty. I needed to hear the truth from his mouth, not through stolen journal entries or hidden folders. When he walked through the door, looking tired but calm, I didn't wait. "I followed you," I said, straight to his face. He froze. His hand still on the doorknob. Our eyes locked, and in that moment, I saw it, no denial, no excuses. Just silence. Heavy, loaded silence. "I saw you give that box to a man," I continued. "I saw her, too. The woman who used to be your therapist. I know about Legacy Circle. I know you've been hiding things from me." He didn't speak for a moment. Then slowly, he walked in, took off his coat, and sat down. His face looked different, more exposed than I'd ever seen. Vulnerable. "I was going to tell you," he said quietly. "But I didn't know how." "Then start now," I said, sitting across from him. And he did. He told me everything. Years ago, before we met, he was part of a group therapy experiment focused on unlocking repressed trauma, deep psychological work that went beyond traditional therapy. It turned into something more when a few participants, including his therapist, formed Legacy Circle, a private foundation for people who had lost pieces of themselves to the world's expectations. They believed in restoring a person's original self, their truth, purpose, and power through a series of intense emotional rituals and legacy-based missions. The wooden box contained letters and items from his past, things that represented who he used to be before trauma reshaped him. The woman wasn't an ex or a lover, she was the guide. The envelope had a letter that would finalize his restoration, which meant letting go of his current life, including me. "I didn't want to go through with it," he said, voice breaking. "I thought I needed to. But then I realized, you've been the only real thing in my life. You made me feel whole without rituals, without secrets. That's why I've been pulling away, not because I don't love you, but because I didn't want to lose you to a decision I made years ago." Tears welled in my eyes. The truth wasn't betrayal, it was fear. His fear of losing himself, and me. I held his hand. "Then let's choose each other. Not the past. Not secrets. Just us." He nodded, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I had him back. We burned the envelope that night. He didn't want to read it. He said he didn't need it anymore. But just when I thought the storm had passed, something unexpected happened. The next morning, I found another letter slipped under our door. No name, just a line. "You can destroy the envelope, but not the legacy. We're not done. Master, what would you do if the past refused to let go? Comment your thoughts, because something tells me this story isn't over yet." The letter stayed on our kitchen counter all day, untouched. We didn't talk about it right away. Maybe we were both too drained, emotionally worn out from everything that had unraveled between us. But as night fell, I realized something. We couldn't keep pretending like that one sentence wasn't lingering between us. "We're not done." It echoed in my head, like a warning, or maybe a challenge. He picked it up finally, held it for a long moment, then looked at me. "They want control," he said softly. But I've already made my choice. That night, he drafted a final message, an official separation from Legacy Circle. No polite words, no explanations. Just a clear statement: I choose my present. I choose love. I choose peace. We sent it through a private secure channel that he said the group monitored. After that, we blocked every contact tied to that chapter of his life. We wanted to rebuild, not run. Days passed. Then weeks. No more letters. No more shadows following us. Slowly, the tension lifted. We went on small trips. Cooked dinner together again without feeling like we were hiding something. He started therapy with someone new this time, not tied to hidden missions or secret societies. Just someone to help him stay grounded. And me. I started trusting again, not just him, but myself. I had doubted my instincts for too long, thinking I was imagining things. But I wasn't. I learned that sometimes, love means facing the parts of someone's past that aren't so easy to accept. And that real romance, real connection, is built on transparency, not perfection. One morning, while sitting on the balcony with coffee in hand, he looked at me and said, "Thank you, for not giving up on me." I smiled. Thank you, for finally letting me in. As simple as it sounds, that moment felt like our fresh start. No more secrets. No more legacies weighing us down. Just two people choosing each other every day. Master, if you were in my place, would you have forgiven him? Would you have waited for the truth or walked away the moment things got difficult? Let me know in the comments. And if you want a sequel to this story, maybe exploring what happens if Legacy Circle returns, drop a fire in the chat.